Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is episode 15. I have a very special guest in the building. I have Mr. Casey Jones. Casey Jones and I actually met when we worked together at Leo Weekly. Casey and I really hit it off just from the start, but also we really got into basically discussing how we both like flipping and doing side hustles. He's definitely just like me in that mindset where we're always trying to think of different things. Flip things, sell things, go thrifting, go to Goodwill, flip it on eBay or Marketplace. So just kind of discuss that business, the story, kind of how, why we both enjoy it and like successes from it. And we'll dive into a few other things. So, but overall, I want to shout out everybody that's been listening and downloading. Over 800 downloads so far. The podcast has been spread worldwide, like I said. I can't thank everybody enough. I actually had a really nice text from my old neighbor in college I haven't talked to, Kendall Jones. Kendall made a statement. She was like, literally texted me the other day, said, "Hey, wanted to let you know my buddy in LA was listening to your podcast and just told me to listen to it." And I said, "That's crazy." So just very small world how those things react. But again, I just want to thank everybody for the support. So Casey, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I basically been flipping for 30 years.
Yeah.
I was, it all began in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I would take my lunch money, walk to the local convenience store, buy packs of bubble gum, go to school, and double my money every day.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I mean, that's it. That's the way to do it. I feel like you and I have always really clicked and connected on these things just from the stories we've shared. The big thing with me with flipping, I started probably back in 2009, so it's been about 12, 13 years. Got my own eBay account, which I will shout out. Mr. E loves to sell and buy. Got over 300 items right now. Go check it out. Mr. E loves to sell and buy. But overall, did eBay, loved it. Did Marketplace here the past few years. I love it, but it's also very interesting, of course. There's some fucking weirdos out there. There's also some people that will try to lowball you or give you some crazy offers. But overall, it's fun. It's an adrenaline rush. It's a hustle. That's why I like doing it. Sometimes it's not even really for the money. It's more for, hey, I just like selling this. I like the whole process of it.
Pride.
Yeah.
Pride. When you find something for $10 and you can sell it for $40, the excitement of the sale is more important than the $30.
100%. I feel like it's one of these things where you're taking in, you're just hyped because you're like, hey, I found this, I sold it. Like, perfect example, I found a $3 Dale Earnhardt ornament at Goodwill. Literally posted on my Snapchat and said, don't know shit about NASCAR, but I have this Dale Earnhardt ornament. I'm trying to get $25. I bet I can flip it for that. Some guy literally messaged me, buys it right then off my Snap. He's like, I'm a huge Dale Earnhardt fan. I love it. Same thing with all. So basically, like, when it comes to thrifting, to kind of dive into that at first, and basically to kind of explain flipping as well. Flipping is basically when you get an item that, like Casey was mentioning, that's maybe $5 and you flip it for $20. You get profit. You double your value in some point. So thrifting is where you'll go to like a Goodwill, an actual thrift store, any of these donation places, and you'll go in, you'll look, and there's always hidden gems. I mean, especially in Louisville, Derby glasses, Derby memorabilia, sports memorabilia. I mean, another perfect example. I bought a set of Olympic pins for $8 at inside a counter at Goodwill. And that's another thing. If you go to Goodwill, the good stuff's always in the front counters. Like, there's stuff all around the store.
And that doesn't mean it's expensive.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
they just put it in there because it's easy to steal.
Yeah.
Or they think it's valuable, but valuable to Goodwill is $10.
Yeah, Goodwill doesn't. Goodwill just wants to make the move and make the sell. So like they put some Kentucky Derby, also some Olympic button pins. So again, nothing that I particularly wanted myself, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get that. I can flip that. End up flipping it for $50, both of them. I made like a profit of almost $40, and it was off a guy who collects those pins. The big thing for me is like, that's the cool thing about Goodwill. And you and I really, when we first started talking and hanging out, we started discussing how there's so many Goodwills in the city. And like, I remember you showing me the one there across from the Tyler Center there off Taylorsville. You had that nice one. There's even the ones like on Dixie have all these different random places. There's gyms everywhere. You could go to the most lowest income area, the most roughest area and find the most hidden prizes.
Honestly, sometimes you find better stuff there because the people the people who live in those areas are older and they have more vintage items.
Yes, that's exactly.
When you go somewhere like Prospect or you're out on the east end of Louisville, the neighborhoods are newer, so the stuff donated is normally newer.
It's normally newer, or it's also too. It's just like it's stuff that's not really top prize or like a hot item. A lot of times, you know, you're completely right. A lot of older people will throw things out. That's something that I've been doing a lot here lately, is connecting with older people by looking at their stuff, flipping it. My friend Leah, I actually connected with her father, and we got to talking, and there were some things in the basement. I helped their family flip. I've done it for others. Shit, I just had, actually, this is the day after I just had surgery on my mouth. I had the craziest tooth pulled I've ever had. Crazy situation. So this podcast, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do it, but I'm feeling fine right now. But I went to my dentist's office right before the procedure. Had a nurse hand me her number and say, hey, I heard you flip stuff. Had another lady say, hey, will you call my mother? She wants things flipped. That's what it's all about. I like helping people. I make a profit off it. Like for me, for example, a lot of people do percentages. I'll take a flat cut, use the shipping, the fees with their money, and then I'll give them the payout. But overall, Goodwills are really big hidden gems.
Yeah, and that's really not your only place to look.
Exactly.
I started my flipping career majorly on eBay back when I first moved to Louisville. You know, I moved here from a small town, so I'd never seen anything like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and I had went into a TJ Maxx, and it all started with, I saw a Carson Palmer jersey for $9.99.
Yeah.
I looked on the tag; it was $75. I bought one, listed on eBay. It sold for $39.50. Then I was like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" So, I'm always thinking in the gray. What's the best way for me to do this? So this is back when layaway existed.
Yeah.
So I literally went to TJ Maxx, put 40 Carson Palmer jerseys on layaway, listed them on eBay, sold them all, then went and picked up my layaway and shipped them all out.
Dude, that's genius. I mean, that's another thing. Don't ever throw anything out. That's the big thing. If you're trying to get into flipping or you want to make a profit, something I did talking about Bengals, former Bengals, Carson Palmer. I had some old AJ Green jerseys, Andy Dalton jerseys. People in Cincinnati still want them. People just want NFL jerseys in general. I had a Matthew Stafford Detroit Lions jersey. All of those flip for profit. My AJ Green jersey I've worn for probably the whole time he's been in Cincinnati. It's faded. It's got discolored stains. I ended up selling for $30, and it's like, that thing's probably worth $5. And it's like, because that's the whole thing about it. You got to remember, it might be junk to you, but somebody out there wants it. Somebody is looking for that, or another thing is that might be their main focus. Like, I found a guy, I went to Goodwill, I found a Lionel Train lunchbox. Looked vintage, looked rare, looked at it. I looked it up. It's been manufactured a bunch. It's more newer. A dude still bought it for $30 because his eBay name was like Lionel Train Guy or something like that. So he's looking just for Lionel specific products.
Yeah, and not everyone has the ability to shop like we do.
Yes.
People who live in the mountains of eastern Kentucky or the mountains of West Virginia, they don't have access to go out and buy a Lionel Train.
Exactly.
These things are not accessible, so they have to use eBay to find these vintage items. And we have the benefit of having so many places to search. We can provide those items for them.
Exactly. And the Kentucky Derby Festival pins. That's another great thing. This year, this past year, I've been doing real estate school, working at the real estate company. A big money maker for me right now while I have been unemployed was basically, I've been doing the podcast, of course, main focus, but also I've been doing the flipping and making the money, and it's really been great for me. But the biggest thing, which I've always done this, but this year I just jumped in like hardcore. I bought so many fucking Kentucky Derby Festival Pegasus pins this year and sold them like hotcakes. I pulled this year 3 gold ones, which is unheard of. Get 3 gold ones, enter in for the big $15,000 drawing. It was just an adrenaline rush pulling those. But once I sold those pins, it's like they're going for double the profit, triple the price. And it's exactly what you just said, Casey. It's people in areas that can't access the Derby. They don't have Kroger. I mean, I even had people buying festival pins in New Albany, Indiana, who didn't realize they're being sold all over. And it's like, it might have been someone with a disability or someone that couldn't drive over the river, didn't have a vehicle. But that's another thing. It's like, I love making all that money, but I still think it's really cool that I'm selling someone a Pegasus pen, and they live in Phoenix, Arizona. And
yeah, sometimes you just find this one item that you can just bulk buy. I remember when the yellow Live Strong bracelets came out.
Yes.
They were this huge phenomenon nationwide.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there's a Nike store close to me. So I went there and they had them by the case.
Yeah.
They were $1 a piece. I literally bought hundreds of them and sold them on eBay for $10. Shipping, I stuck them in an envelope for 35 cents.
Yeah.
And I was 9xing my money. As many of them as I could get, I could sell.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get lucky and find a bulk item. Another similar story, I was at this Gap outlet in northern Kentucky. They have like a clearance center. This is stuff that doesn't even sell at the outlet store.
Yeah.
It's like bottom. And I walked in and they had this like khaki skirt for 99 cents. I was with my wife who thinks all this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
She's like, what are you going to do with 50 khaki skirts size small? I said, there's a lot of people in the United States that wear size small. They had a $50 price tag on them. I bought all 50 of them, put them on eBay for $19.99, and sold all of them in like 2 months.
Oh, I mean, it's insane. And that's the thing about it, too. You got to be patient with it, too. It might not just flip overnight. You might not just list it and flip. But that's another adrenaline rush with it all. You start getting watchers. You start getting questions. You even got people that are making offers. A big thing on eBay right now, which I think is super cool that they've done, especially for more users that have been using it frequently, is basically taking where you'll sell an item and you have it online for $30 and you can put like all accept offers were. So you get offers, but also if someone immediately watches that item, you can send them an exclusive offer, and I'm gonna be honest, 80% of the time they're gonna accept it. They want that because they wouldn't watch it for no reason, and that's what they're doing. They're watching it because number one, they might not have the money at the time. Number two, there's tons of scenarios. Oh, I'm not allowed to buy it, or I need to wait till the wife's gone, or I'm going to ship it here. All these different scenarios that they're thinking about. At the end of the day, it's like, if I'm hitting you with a good offer, you're not gonna refuse it.
Yeah, and a lot of times maybe they watched it 2 months ago and they forgot about it, and then you hit them with that offer, it kicks them an email saying, hey, so and so offered you this at a better price, and that brings it back in front of their face.
Yeah,
and it makes them say, hey, you know what? I really did want that 2 months ago. Kind of forgot about it, but at this price, I'm saying yes.
And you and I are very sales experience oriented. I've been in it for over 10 years. You've been in over 10 years. I mean, we've done sales just in our own careers, but I think that's what's helped us too, because even if you're not interacting with this person, even if you're not interacting with them even on Facebook and you're just shipping it to them, all these situations you have to do some kind of customer service. I'll be honest, I don't want to buy an item. I don't even want to sell an item to a person that's a dick, that's cocky, that's arrogant, because it's no fun. It's like, what's the point? Like yeah, I got the money, I got the transaction. It's like, just be nice, and I'll be nice to you, and we can get it knocked out. So a lot of times, I like selling to people that have good recommendations, and that's the biggest thing about feedback. Feedback is so important in this game.
Yeah, and it's not all glory. I mean, don't let me and
exactly.
Eric sit here and tell you that it's all a dream. There's scammers on eBay, and eBay always sides with the buyer.
Exactly.
There are people who sell cell phones, and when the buyer gets it, they say, oh, the box was empty, and then boom, the seller gets stuck with a $700 chargeback. So it's not always glory, but what you do is you keep your profit margins high enough that when you have to take a hit because someone's a dick, it still doesn't crush you.
Exactly. And a biggest example of that is, I've been selling eBay. I've been very lucky. I use tracking on everything. I've never had an issue. I'll brag about this. I got a 100% positive rating. I think I'm at 653 on transactions. But about 3 years ago, my ex, I don't think she was super excited about it, but I bought the 4 Impractical Jokers action figures. Dude sends it to me, says they're brand new. He clearly stapled them inside. Yeah. I look up the original packages, there's no staples. So I'm going to a big debate with him. I end up getting my money back, but it was such a process of like having to wait a couple days, send them back, make sure he gets them. Then you have to also, say you do get a fucked up item and you got to send it back. You might send it back, and then the guy that sold to you is like, well, this is more fucked up. And so you're going through this whole thing. eBay does have its faults. I mean, eBay has its faults now with this new payout thing. They've axed their deal with PayPal, so now their fees are a little bit higher, but you're not paying the PayPal fee, but you're waiting 2 days to get paid instead of that instant transfer you were getting on PayPal. So a lot of times that can be frustrating, but also too, that payout's coming. But the other thing, kind of flip, not buying an item, selling an item, perfect example with Pegasus pens. I sell a Pegasus pen to a guy. Perfect, wrapped it up, sent these out to 100 people this year. I've sold so many fucking Pegasus pens. I should work for the fucking festival. But it's like, I send all these Pegasus pens out, and I get one back that I sold for quite a bit. And guy says the pen thing broke off. Well, here's the thing about it. I don't know. He got his money back. I mean, eBay forced me. I don't know if that dude had a pen already and it broke, and he's like, hey, I'll just take a picture of the old one. Here's the new one. I'm hoping that everyone I work with or deal with is honest, and I'm not saying, and mostly everybody is. That's another thing. I'm not trying to scare you as well. Don't be scared. Give it a shot. Shit happens, though. You just got to be prepared for that. Like, don't go in trying to list a bunch of stuff. You're broke as shit, and if something does happen, it could bite you. But the thing about it is, the hustle with it, it's just fun. And eBay makes it fun, too, because you're connecting with people on a platform all over, and you do feel a little bit of protection. That is the good thing of eBay. You feel protected.
Yeah, and the good thing about eBay is YouTube has 100,000 people telling you how to do it.
Yes.
There is video after video, and there are people who specify. There's one guy on YouTube who literally buys shoes at Ross's, and he goes in and finds shoes that are on clearance for $2, $3, looks them up. The good thing about eBay is you can look up sold items, so you can always see what something's sold for before you purchase it. And another thing, me talking about Ross and Marshalls and TJ Maxx, I, back in the day when I didn't have as much money and didn't have as much opportunity to buy, I would go into stores, buy $400 or $500 worth of stuff. Sometimes I would buy Kate Spade bag, I would buy Nike shoes, I would buy a Tommy Hilfiger pullover. I would take pictures of these items, list them on eBay at a double profit, and if they didn't sell in 28 days, I would return them to the store, so I had no risk.
Yeah.
Because all those stores have a 30-day return policy.
It's genius. See, that's the thing about it. That's what I always like talking to you about this, and I felt like you and I were very on the same page about this because we look into that kind of shit. Like, we think of those scenarios. Like, you always got to be thinking this game. Another thing, too, that a lot of people don't realize with, like, eBay, too, as well, is that you're listing something for sale, you're posting it, you're getting these offers, these different deals. But when you list an item, if you haven't done this like Casey and I, or you're just trying to start this off, don't fucking just list something because you think you know the price or you know it. Do some research. You will not know how many times you can burn yourself by, oh, I found this old, I'm just bullshitting, Toronto Blue Jays World Series t-shirt from the early 90s or something. Oh, well, that's cool, I'll list it. You might look it up online. One might have sold for $75 some guy found 2 weeks ago. You list it, I'll just get $20. Don't lowball yourself. Like, Go do the research, because that's the whole feature of the so completed items. You also can know, will this sell? Will I be wasting my time? Will I be wasting the 35-cent listing fee or 25-cent listing fee because this item's not going to sell? Nobody wants it. Or there's too many online. That's another thing you'll run into. A lot of people think something's hot and there'd be too many. But a big thing that I've learned, and I'll shout out to one of my buddies in a fantasy football group, his name's Miz. He lives in Pittsburgh, and, he's so great about if something's about to drop, like a dump, that's what he calls it, a dump. If it's about to drop, he'll text me and say, hey, buy that shit, it's going to be hot. So, like, he sent me these Manny Machado Nikes that were popular. He sent me the Trevor Lawrence Topps card. I tripled my value on that. I bought that Trevor Lawrence card thing for $75. I made it like $300. I mean, it's insane. And so people will just look for a certain item just so they can get back in that thing. Another thing, talking about females, Posh Peanut. That's a huge thing. There's these women out there that are like mothers, have family, like there might be a stay-at-home mom, and they're making tons of money, thousands and thousands of dollars off blankets and babies accessories because it's this brand. I think it's and I could be saying the name wrong, but it's like Poshmark or Posh. I actually sold a couple blankets for my friend the other day who doesn't have an eBay, and bam, they're flipping like crazy. $200, girl bought it for like $35. It's just insane the money you can make out there.
Yeah, and there's other avenues too. I know we've all seen videos or heard stories about people buying pallets. Mm-hmm. I've done that. I actually bought a CVS return pallet of all things. So these are all items that had either been pulled off the shelf, were still new, but CVS was flipping their shelf space, or B, return items. And when I was doing that, I was getting, sometimes I got a set of Bose headphones in there. I got a lot of weird items like humidifiers and stuff. One thing I will tell you, the biggest piece of advice I can give you on this, don't ever screw yourself on shipping. If something is not something you're used to shipping, go ahead and measure it. Go ahead and weigh it. Put it into, I use a site, I don't know what you use, I use a site called Pirate Ship.
That's something I'm learning now.
It's a website that you can actually download stuff straight from eBay, and it puts all your addresses and stuff in there for you.
Oh, sweet.
And it actually gives you cheaper shipping than you get from the post office.
Wow.
On post office shipping. So what I do is I put those dimensions in, I weigh that item, and I always put California in because it's a worst case scenario.
California is the worst. That's another thing. Don't think just because it's in the United States it's going to be cheaper. California costs a lot. And Alaska and Hawaii do too.
You can actually go into eBay, and I have mine. You can go to a setting that says only lower 48. So I only ship to the 48 states.
Oh.
Because you can now. I do.
See, I've never done. I've been shipping. I've shipped a couple things Alaska, Hawaii, but it's always luckily I charged higher, but I didn't realize you do 48 states.
And then there's, I don't know if you have you seen the new international shipping where everything goes to Hebron, Kentucky?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm doing that. So basically, someone in Germany just bought some DVDs from me, and I only had to ship them to Hebron. And once they get to Hebron, Kentucky, they check them in, and I'm done. At that point, if something happens beyond there, it's not on me, it's on the shipping center. And the person in Germany is paying the extra money for Hebron to receive it, repackage it, and ship it to Germany. So I'm not affected in any way. I just have to ship it from Louisville to Hebron. And what's great is that's in Kentucky, so my item's getting there in 1 to 2 days.
Oh, it's getting there 1-2 days. It's cheapest shit to sell in Kentucky. I love when I see something bought in Kentucky. I love it. I had something funny happen on the other day on eBay. Someone bought a Harbor House pin for me. When I worked at Leo, I was always sponsoring the Harbor House. I got tons of Harbor House memorabilia, and people collect rubber ducks or those duck pins. So I took the duck pin. I saw that someone bought it in Louisville, so I'm Googling the address, and I'm like, oh, that's on Dixie Highway. I'm going to be showing a home there later. I messaged the girl. I said, where you at? She's like, oh, I work at a pawn shop, Mr. Money off Dixie. I said, right there off the freeway? She's like, yeah. She's like, a little hole in the wall place. I said, I'll be there in like 5 minutes. So I pull in there. I'm already out in Dixie trying to find it. I pull in, give it to her. She leaves me a feedback. She's like, fastest delivery ever in eBay history. Yeah. And I said, it's just because you got to think smart. Now, here's another thing, though, to give you a warning. If you, say you are in Kentucky, you're in Louisville, and you sell this item, and you got to ship it to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yeah, that's going to probably cost you like a regular item you can put in a smaller box or envelope, around $4 to $6. But you send it with tracking, you're getting there. If you don't send it with tracking, always send it with tracking. If you're going to ship it, send it with tracking. If it's something small, I get it, like a coin or something. Usually people are pretty good. They're not going to say, oh, it's missing, or you screwed me because it's under $10. But if it's an item that's over 20, and you got to get clarification. If you don't put shipping, that person can literally say they never got it and they got it the day before. So always pay for the shipping. It might cost you a few extra bucks, but don't bitch and complain. You're doing it for your safety, because all that's going to happen is you just got rid of a hot item and you just got burnt.
Well, the key in flipping, which I know you know, is 1 pound.
Yes.
If you can be under a pound, you can ship so much cheaper. But once you hit that pound, you really start needing to looking at flat rate shipping.
Yes.
There are these flat rate padded envelopes that really hold a lot, and they're $8 to ship, no matter what it weighs, up to 75 pounds. Actually, I got into this during the pandemic when you could not find any workout equipment anywhere. I started buying dumbbells, 10, 20 pound dumbbells.
Wow.
And I was selling them on eBay for double, triple what they are retail. And I was shipping them in flat rate padded envelopes, 40-pound dumbbells for $8 to California. So I was, just putting them in that flat rate envelope, taping it up really good, putting that label on there. And I was literally buying a 40-pound dumbbell for $40, selling it for $100, and shipping it to California for $8.
Oh man, that's genius. And it's all about like finding ways to save yourself. I mean, I'll be honest. I've counted. I've been very blessed, very thankful. I probably had less than 10 times in my whole flipping selling career. I've had 10 times where I've either maybe burnt or either like got burnt on shipping or burnt on item. But I'm just very safe about it, protect myself about it. Another great thing too is like if you already have stamps at the house, say you have a thing of stamps, or I don't know, say your grandma gave you a book of stamps and said mail something sometime. Well, you got all those stamps. If you go to the post office, say your item's going to ship for $5, you can go ahead and apply stamps, and it'll deduct the price. I know that's kind of common sense, but it basically they'll not say like, hey, you can't use this. But another thing, if you're in line at post office, and say the line's 30 people, post office has been a little bit behind. Say there's 30 people there waiting. You're like, I'm gonna be here for 2 hours. I gotta go. UPS store will ship via post office. Now it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. It'll be about $1.75, $2 fee, maybe more on a heavier item. But the great thing about it is, they'll take it, they'll track it, they'll give you a tracking number, and they'll ship it literally USPS. And I sometimes think it gets faster through them doing it. The only thing about it is they won't take your old stamp. So if you have stamps on it, they don't take that in or count it, because they're already dealing with the fee that they're going to have to deal with in the beginning. But the thing that I love the most about flipping as well too is that you also kind of find when you're out looking, you do find things that you want as well. Like, if that makes it look, you'll pick up something, and say you spend $150 and 140 of it is things that you're gonna ship or sell, and you're like, I'm not gonna have any. But you might find a jacket. You might find a Cincinnati Reds jacket or something nice, $10. You're gonna buy it, and it's like, not only do you realize, oh shit, I got a bunch of money right here I'm about to sell. Now I got a new jacket. So I mean, that's the fun thing about it. It's like, you're not only, when you're going out, you're not only doing this for others in your business, I guess, you're doing it too to find little hidden gems.
Especially when you have kids, because I've come home with 2 or 3 bags of stuff that I've bought for resale, and by the time they go through it, I have a bag less. Another big thing I try to find is Legos sell really well, and you can just sell them by the pound, mismatched Legos.
Yeah.
And I have bought, one lady sold me 50 pounds of Legos one day for $50. She actually delivered them to my work. I paid her in the parking lot. I sold those a week later for $200.
See, it's just like that. Like, there's a Lego store actually right in front of my house here where we're recording, and I've gone in there. I think it's called Bricks and Figs, and really nice little Lego store. Guy in there's passionate about Legos. That's another thing about me. If you have a store that especially if you're local and you're trying to sell a particular item, or you buy things, I might even take it to you. Might not even get as much as I might get online, but I know it's going to a good home. I know I'm getting quick payout. I'm getting quick money. It's done and it's over. But like the Lego guy, he bought a bunch of Legos for me, gave me a good penny, and it's like, because Legos are still popular. Yeah, I've mentioned this on a couple episodes. I think even the last one we were talking to Harold, I was talking to Harold about Japan. Pokemon's hot. Sports cards are hot. I mean, literally there was a shooting in Minnesota over Target not selling Pokemon or sports cards because this guy pulled a gun on somebody over the cards. I knew a friend that worked at the Target here on Taylorsville and Hurstbourne, and it's like every morning they're dealing with like 20 people in line trying to fight over the cards, or can I get this box, can you move me on the list, like making almost like a VIP list of who can come in and out of the store and who can buy this and that. And it's just, that's getting to the point where it's absolutely just fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird. Things that you would never think someone will buy, they will buy. I got gifted a Pappy Van Winkle bottle 2 years ago, and I've sipped on it, and when it was finally empty, I listed the empty bottle on eBay, and it's over $30.
Oh, I mean, people will buy it like crazy.
Now, the guy's probably wanting to be badass and fill it back up with some shit bourbon and put it on a shelf and make everybody think he has a bottle of Pappy, but I don't care. I made $30 on an empty bottle.
And you know what? And if it makes that guy happy to have a fake Pappy, more power to him. I mean, he gave me a 30, he can have it. And that's the way I view it. A lot of these things, I go through, like, I'm very OCD. I got everything I need and want. But I'll go out, and I got my own little storage area in my house where I store all my, I guess you call my store, my eBay stuff. But it's like, I'll go in and look, and, I got some cool shit. Like, from back in the day I've picked up, or on trips and stuff. That's another thing. Anything branded, buy it, take it. If you're at a trade show, if you're at a work event, somebody's giving out something that, like, I literally sold a miniature robot I got free from a local dentist, and I sold it for $25 because the guy said, oh, that's the coolest toy I've ever seen. And he didn't even see a video to record it. It's literally the small plastic robot. That's the kind of stuff people do. I remember a guy posted this thing, this really big post, and he's like, I'm getting rid of these Sunday helmets. Well, I have so many Sunday helmets. I sell them and flip them all the time. The little miniature baseball helmets with the team logo on it. You can get it at any stadium, minor league, major. When you go get your ice cream sundae or nacho, they also have nacho helmets that are a little bit bigger. They'll put that inside the helmet, then you get to bring the helmet home. Those are super fucking collectible. Like, not all of them are popular. Some go for cheap, but they're very collectible. Anything that's not around anymore is hot. Like Montreal Expos. That is one of the biggest selling items. I've made so much money off the team Montreal Expos, the former MLB team in Montreal. A lot of people wish the Expos were still around. I still think they're one of the coolest team. Just Vladimir Guerrero, the whole brand, everybody that's played in, Larry Walker, all the people that played in Montreal. But I had miniature helmets. I had a helmet that was literally on my thumb that I could put on my thumb tiny. Sold it for like $22. I mean, it's crazy the things people buy.
Yeah, if you see Redskin stuff, Washington Redskins, buy it.
Oh, Cleveland Indians. I had a bunch of old Cleveland Indians stuff when I visited Jacobs Field, flipping baseballs for double or triple the price. I mean, even people that are maybe not, I guess you would say, viewed as popular anymore, like a lot of former players, like even like, you know, I mean, they're all popular. Some of them are legends, but like Cal Ripken, Mark McGwire, a lot of those guys, A-Rod, a lot of that stuff's still hot. You know, people are very into the things that they may be part of their childhood. That's the biggest thing I find out. I'm really big on, I have a big collection. I really do feel like I have everything I need now, or want. But I like to collect things. And if there's something that I haven't had or I haven't seen as a child, I'll pick it up if I got some extra cash. But the main thing for me is I'm looking for items that I know this is going to trigger someone's imagination or make them think, I gotta have this.
And every once in a while, you're going to buy that item that you were sure you were going to make triple your money on, and it sits for years and years, and somebody will eventually buy it. But if you get tired of looking at it, I keep a spot in my garage I call the yard sale corner. And when my kids get done with the shirt, and it's something that, I know I could never sell on eBay because of condition, or I have bought some eBay items that I missed on, and I know that they're probably never going to sell and they're taking up space, I just put everything in the yard sale corner. And once a year, I break that stuff out. You know, we had a yard sale not too long ago. I did almost $400. Stuff that didn't sell, I put it right back in the yard sale corner for the next yard sale.
And see, that's genius. Like, I want to do yard sale. I really can't do it in my complex, of course, but I want to do one eventually this summer. I've talked to a couple friends, and there's definitely some items I know I could list and make a killing off of, because I got some hot stuff. But the biggest thing too is I found out a lot of people love keychains and shot glasses. That's a big selling thing. Also too, besides I brought up those Sunday helmets, but people fucking love bucket hats. Now, bucket hats got really famous. I think I'll shout out Jay-Z and UGK in the Big Pimpin' video. They were wearing the bucket hats, but I always loved bucket hats as a kid. I've always had a Cincinnati Reds one. I thought they were dope. I remember my parents, shout out to my parents, we would go to baseball games, we sign up for the MasterCard Visa cards, and they give you the helmet, or they give you the blanket. I've taken everything I've wanted to keep, I've kept out of it, I've sold all the rest of that. Those bucket hats are selling for $20 to $30 a pop, completely free. What my parents would do, because they're very smart with this, they would literally sign up, give me the hat, and then they just cancel the credit card the next day. And so it's the same thing like you're doing with the returns or doing it that way. It's like there's ways to get around it.
New bucket hats, I thought they were a thing of the past, and my son and 6 of his friends went to a Bats game, and my wife took them, and every one of them bought matching bucket hats.
Oh yeah, bucket hats are. It's a cool hat. I think it's a cool style. I know it's older, vintage, but it's unique, especially if you get that team logo. And New Era makes them. Like, I remember I went to the Eminem concert and I bought a Calvin Johnson Lions jersey. I wanted to be all Detroited out for Eminem.
I was at the same concert.
You were at the same concert? Hell yeah, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, shout out Monster Tour, Rihanna, and Eminem. Like, I just remember I bought a Detroit Tigers with the Dirty D logo, a silver New Era bucket hat. Fucking most comfortable bucket hat I've ever had, and with it being New Era, you knew it was quality. And I just think it's wild what maybe was hot or you don't think is hot anymore is still hot, or somebody, that's another thing. Somebody wants, that's the biggest thing I keep saying. Somebody wants that item. If it comes down to it, there's someone out there that's going to want to buy it. Now, a thing that I've really found interesting with eBay and flipping and stuff, and like using Facebook Marketplace, we'll kind of get into is you have a lot of unique, interesting individuals, and
especially in Marketplace.
Especially in Marketplace, and you know, the thing about Facebook Marketplace, I've taken kind of a step back from it. It's just I'll sell big items on there like furniture and different things. Like I know I can sell that in a day. Furniture, if you list furniture on Facebook, if it's an item that's in really good shape, someone's buying it. Especially bar stools, especially anything table wise. That's why you always gotta pick up this kind of stuff. And the thing with Marketplace though is they've kind of had a new policy where you have to actually ship the item to the person. You have to enter a tracking number, so you can't ship it without tracking. You ship it without tracking, you just fucked yourself. You gotta ship it with tracking, enter the tracking number. Once it's been delivered, you get paid the next day. Now, I don't mind that. It's fine, it's whatever. But it does get a little frustrating because it's like, hey, I might have just sold this really expensive item. Now I gotta ship it for a price, and now I'm waiting on the money. But the other good thing is there's not a lot of complaints on Facebook. There's not a lot of bitching. A big thing about it is this: the difference with eBay and Facebook, and I think you'll agree, either on eBay, you're protected, you got a return policy, you got a thing you can do, but on Facebook, it's kind of like, you meet up with the guy at Burger King down the street, you sell it to him, it's his. Like, there's no
It's still a little Wild West.
Yeah, it's still a little Wild West. Yeah, and it's one of these cases, too, where, you know, I love when I'll meet up with somebody, sell them something hot, and then they'll out of nowhere look at me and go, do you have any more of this? Or do you have any more hockey stuff, baseball stuff? Like, this random dude bought I have tons of New York Ranger Wayne Gretzky stuff. Like, I was a huge hockey Wayne Gretzky guy. So I've kept the stuff I wanted. I've sold the others, and I sold this figurine I've been trying to sell. Guy paid me quite a penny for a birthday present because his buddy's a huge Gretzky hockey fan. And, you know, it's just, that's a good feeling. Like, yeah, it's always a great feeling when we're walking away with cash. I mean, cash rules the world. We all know that. But when you're selling something and you see that reaction, or you see how happy that person is, or they're telling you why they want it, or, oh, this completes my collection. That's a good fucking feeling. Like, I don't care. That's one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Facebook Marketplace can be an avenue for you to find stuff to sell on eBay. And I've done that many times.
True.
We, Nintendo Wii's and Nintendo Wii U's became really hot during the pandemic because families were home in the house together, and we became something that they could do as a family that is fun. And I was buying Nintendo Wii's on Facebook Marketplace for $20-$30, flipping them on eBay for $100, and they were selling all day long. And another thing, you can also use Facebook Marketplace to find something that you know someone's looking for. I had 10 derby glasses listed on Facebook Marketplace one day for $70. A girl contacted me and said, hey, do you have any more of these? I said, well, how many are you looking for? She said, I'd like to have 100 because I'm getting married, and at my wedding we want to serve our signature cocktail in derby glasses.
Oh, shit.
I was like, very cool idea. So I said, okay, are you cool with $7 a piece? She said, yeah. I put an ad on Facebook Marketplace looking for 90 derby glasses, willing to pay $4 a piece. Somebody contacted me within an hour. It's like, hey, I've got 90, all just mixed match years. I contacted her, said, hey, you still want these? She said, yeah. I literally picked them up, drove them to her house, and made $180 profit.
See, it's just like that. It's like the biggest thing when I worked at Budweiser, I got tons of pint glasses. I mean, when I worked at Budweiser, I had so many pint glasses. I've given away, I've kept them. I have a huge glass collection. I got one of the biggest beer glass collections. Like, I love that shit. But getting them by the case, you know, you can keep them, whatever. Boss is Budweiser's cool. Budweiser gives you so much free shit when you're working for actual Anheuser-Busch. When you're working for independent or a local person, it's way different. But when it's Anheuser-Busch and you're a rep, you're getting some cool shit. And the thing about it was, I'd always take advantage when they give away stuff, or my boss would be like, hey, take this, we want to get this rid of. And I remember I had all these pint glasses, and one day I had probably 12 cases of 24 packs of Stella Artois chalices. Well, Stella Artois chalice is dope. Got the little gold rim, Stella logo. But after you drank out of them a bunch, or you have 20 of them here at the house, I don't need them, and I'm over it. Like, and so at that point, I just listed them one day, flipped them for like 30 a case. This guy, he owned I think it was called Bourbon Barrel Motors or Barstow Motors. It's not even in business now. It's right there next to Bambi Bar, and it was open before the pandemic, and now it's a new place. But drove up to his garage, sold them all to him. He ended up paying me like, I almost made like between $300 and $500 of how many cases I had. And I said, what are you doing all these for? What are you going to use all these for? Just curious. And he's like, oh man, these are dope. I want glasses. I want things to use. I want people to drink bourbon here. And I'm like, drink bourbon while they're getting their car worked on? I was like, that's kind of genius. But I don't know what happened to his business, but the money was good. He was a great guy. And again, it's just something that somebody wanted, which I did not fully expect. Now, when, another thing about video games, I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of places in town will not pay you worth of shit for video game stuff. GameStop, a lot of these places are just they just don't care. But the thing about it that I really like is, like, I like Game Exchange. They're definitely going to lowball you compared to what you're selling online. So I'm not saying they're like the place to go, but they are the place to go when you don't know about something, or even if you don't want to sell it. The people in there are so cool, especially the one here in Taylorsville, like in Hurstbourne, the little Stony Brook Shopping Center, by the old Chicago. That Game Exchange in there, super nice, super loud, super knowledgeable. And I go in there and somebody will be like, hey, I bet you can get more money off that online. They'll keep it real with you because they know they're not making money off that. It's going to the store, so they're not going to dick you and be like, oh, okay. But if you're willing to sell it, they're going to take it. I found a GameCube. Talking to this girl, ended up getting quite a bit of money. I found a GameCube just in a garage. Like, it's so cool, the stuff that's still hot and popular. And Nintendo GameCube and games are so hot. Like, I had Mario Party 7 found on GameCube, sold it for like $70. Like, it's
I
such
sold
a
Mario Sunshine for $100, and I got it literally at a Goodwill for $3.
See, that's what I'm saying. Anytime I see anything electronic-wise at Goodwill or any of those stores, I'm buying it. I went to a thrift store that's actually in Butyl, near like an AutoZone. It's right there in that shopping center behind Arby's there off Bardstown Road, Hikes Lane. And I go in there, I think it literally says on the top of the sign, just in white letters, says thrift shop. Go in there, I'll be honest. Not the best place in town. It's not my favorite thrift. But I go in there, and they're doing the same policy that Goodwill was doing. They're putting all the stuff in the front case that's hot and popular. So I go do the little browsing. There's like 3 people in the store. Nobody's around. Nobody really cares. I go up to the front and I said, "What is that?" And the guy was like, "Oh, this is a like almost a 50-year-old Kentucky Cardinals bottle." I was like, "For $5?" And he's like, "Yeah." Had bicentennial Coke bottles for like $2 a piece. So I went ahead and fucking bought it. I was like, "Why not? Why not take advantage of it?" And that stuff is worth a pretty penny because somebody just didn't want it around the house. And they gave it to this place that, like you said, might be older, might have had this, and sadly too, I don't want anyone to die or be morbid like that, but a lot of times when people pass away, the sad thing is a lot of times they don't realize what their significant other, their loved one actually had, and they're so quick to get rid of it. They're not thinking about money, and I'm not saying it's about money, I'm just saying it's a shitty. It's good for people that want to flip, but it's shitty sometimes when you hear like, "Oh, this guy passed away. We got rid of all his stuff." Wait, what did he have? And you hear like all this stuff you had, and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" But you don't want to have that reaction in front of somebody because you're crushing them. But I just do believe that a lot of people it just don't know what they're throwing out.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever been into any of those St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores?
Yeah. I think that's actually part of the St. Vincent, that one that's in Butyl.
I actually went to one, and the most random thing, there was about 20 DVDs, individually wrapped, brand new, all Nazi propaganda, like Hitler this, Hitler that, all just Nazi stuff. And I was like, what a weird thing to still be in the wrapper in Louisville, Kentucky. And I started looking some of the DVDs up, and some of them were going for $75, $100, and they were $1. So I bought them all, brought them home, put them in groups. Some of them were sets, like 4 to a set. Earlier when I mentioned I shipped some DVDs to Germany, this was some of the ones I shipped. But literally, I think I spent $40 that day, and I got back over $1,000. That's
insane. I mean, and that's the thing about it too, is like, there's a lot of things too that like people will look out for, and especially when you bring up international. A lot of people international wise, I'll sell tons of soccer, hockey stuff to people in Canada or internationally. So it's like when I'm listing something, I don't make everything international, but I make sure that some are. Now, especially with this Ebron Kentucky deal and all that, it definitely probably would take advantage of that more. But it's a lot of these things. That's another thing too. A lot of people will leave stuff on plastic, and that just increases the value. Like when it's brand new, and you can literally say, "This is brand new, no bullshit, no lies, no ifs, ands, or buts." It's a win-win. I mean, especially when you have, like, you bringing up that, that DVD thing. You're probably like, me and you both would have been the same way. Like, what the fuck is this? What is this shit? But then it's like, you're not getting it because you fucking want it or anything. You're just trying to flip it and get rid of it. And it's like, some guy in fucking Germany wants that. It's just, it's bizarre because a lot of times you'll go in, you'll be like, why would anybody want this? Like, some of the stuff I find NASCAR wise, and that's probably the sport I'm least interested in, or least know. I know I brought up the Dale Earnhardt story earlier, but I find so much NASCAR shit in Louisville. Louisville is a big NASCAR town, or at least people in Kentucky are, and I'll find old McDonald's, Bill Elliott stuff, like all these people, and I feel like I'm almost learning about some of these drivers just because I'm buying this shit for a couple bucks and flipping it. I mean, Dale Earnhardt is definitely the top prize, but another place that's great is the Thrift Mall in J-Town, right there across from Peddler's Mall. Yeah, that's the name, and it's right across the street from I think Sweet Savannah's Ice Cream is right there in J-Town. So it's right kind of in the heart of the J-Town Gaslight area, and I've gone in there, and Eugenio Suarez hit almost, I think, over 50 bombs last year. Had a huge year for the Reds. I mean, insane. And I found his bobblehead in there for like $5-10. Now I wanted just to keep that, but it's like perfect condition. Taking out the and I walk around, and what's cool about that store is I don't think I'm ready to get into that game of having a booth or selling. I kind of like doing it my own style. Yeah. But there's people in there that have day jobs, retired, maybe sick, and they got all this shit set up. They're not even there. There's like just two people working, but you got to go past them to leave, and they're just going to ring you up, and then they'll take the profit in their computer, and then they'll know, okay, this guy made this money, this guy this. And it's a genius way to do it. I mean, if, 10, 20 years down the road, it might even be a business that I create for myself, like just open up a mall like that, because I know they're not making tons, but they're making quite a pretty penny to keep it open, and you're taking monthly rent. It's just like the barber game. People pay their monthly rent to have a chair. It's the same situation that you're doing when it comes to these thrift malls, the peddlers malls.
Yeah, the number one piece of advice I can give you is just because you think it's worth something doesn't mean it's worth something. I saw one day in one of those peddlers malls a Shaquille O'Neal Orlando's Magic starting lineup still in the wrapper. Almost fainted. I was like, holy shit, this is going to be amazing. I scanned it, it's like $12. The reason is, in the 90s, especially starting lineups, sports cards, overproduced. We think about, like, the holy grail card from when I was a kid was the King Griffey Jr. Yes. Upper Deck #1.
Yes.
Well, since it was so popular, Upper Deck printed millions of them.
Oh yeah, I had one. I sold one to a guy for $40.
And they're not worth much more today than they were in the 90s.
Yeah.
But then you see cards today like a LeBron James limited edition going for $1 million. Well, there's 13 of those. There's 1 million of that Griffey card. So just because something is a popular player, or it's vintage, or you think it's going to be worth something because it's new in the package, don't impulse buy. Take the extra 30 seconds to look on eBay sold. A lot of times you can use your iPhone and scan the barcode, and it'll bring up those items for you. So you're not even having to type it in and search for it.
And when you might get lucky, and find a Shaq lover or someone, a Magic fan, but the thing about it is you're completely right. I have tons of starting lineup headliners. I love them. They're all in good condition. I still collect some. Like, I just got a Moss Carter one from a guy in Indiana. It sold me $15. Things fucking mint. It's Moss's rookie year. I was a huge Moss fan as a kid. Like, went and saw him play the Colts. Me and my dad went to RCA Dome and saw on Christmas Eve and saw the Colts versus the Vikings, and Moss caught a one-handed touchdown. I'll never forget it. So I kind of buy that stuff mainly for myself, like my personal collection, like from like memories, like when I'm a kid. But it is hard to flip some of that stuff that's reproduced so much. And that's the thing about it, you nailed, especially with sports cards. I have such a huge sports card collection. I've sold some things that I couldn't believe I got that much money for, and then I've sold some cards that weren't worth that much. And it is about reproduction. You know, they've made documentaries, movies about it where they just reproduced too many of these items. And I have no regrets. It's fun. It was fun collecting. And, you know, none of us knew. And the thing about it, too, is there's some of these that are still worth money. I'm not saying there's still starting lineups out there that are worth a pretty penny, but it just depends on what you find. You know, it has to be hot and it has to be rare. Like, that's the biggest thing. It has to be limited number, like, for sure.
As a Cowboys fan, let me tell you, sitting in the Murray State cafeteria watching the NFL draft, knowing Randy Moss was on the board, Michael Irvin had just retired, fingers crossed, Randy Moss, Dak win. I wanted to flip over the table and leave the cafeteria in anger.
Dude, it was absolutely still the crazy thing. And Randy Moss hates the Cowboys for it. He still to this day has like a grudge. And, you know, I just think, you know, I think Jerry's done a lot of dumb things. I mean, we could get into all talks about the NFL, but Jerry Jones, just some of these decisions, and, you know, and that's fun to think about because you look back and you're like, well, number one, would I have been a biggest fan because I wasn't a Cowboys fan? Also, two, would he have done the same thing? So it's just, there's always the what if
questions. Not to get off, I think the biggest issue for that one topic, I don't want to talk about sports all night because I can. I think the biggest issue was Michael Irvin had been such a disaster PR-wise.
Yes.
And Randy had so much trouble at Florida State and Marshall that he didn't want to go right back into
double dip with it.
Yeah.
And Randy Moss's story is insane. I think Ran U, is that the name of the documentary? And, you know, he grew up in West Virginia, been through a lot. You know, he is the true underdog to legendary story. I mean, he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. It's insane what he's done in his career. And you're right. I mean, it was a lot of PR, young, you know, trying to think about what's going on. Cowboys already had faced a lot of that, so you're definitely right about that. And then just to kind of like to come back real quick to the flipping thing, the other thing I was going to mention to you is that I think a lot of people too in the flipping thing think that they can flip anything they want. And I know I talked about that at the beginning, but kind of piggyback off what you said, like with the Shaq thing. It's not only about doing the research, but it's also too, it's like, don't overhype your item or yourself. And I'm saying it's so easy to go into a store, find something, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a killing. It's good to have that confidence, but it's just also be real and realize, kind of to go back to what I was saying earlier, it might not sell in a day, it might sell in a few weeks, and it might take some time. But the thing about it too is condition's a big deal, and a lot of people think, oh, it's just has a mark on it or a scratch. A lot of people don't want that, and people will nitpick or try to corner you and say, hey, this is not right, or hey, I see a little chip here. You know, always check that out, and always when you're buying something from somebody, especially on Marketplace, do not be shy, embarrassed, prideful. If it's in a box, open that shit up and check it out, because again, once you pull out, it's gone. You're done. And you know, something that I always found very interesting that you did, Casey, too, was you would buy items like big items that may be still in the box, like we talked about earlier, dumbbells, whatever. Yeah, you might not bring it all to the house, but you had a storage unit. That's the same thing I'm doing, where we both have a personal storage unit. You have everything you need in one of the house. You might have some of the stuff you want to sell, but the storage unit it's so smart, because it's like you wake up in the morning, say you have the whole day off, you sew two things, run the unit, load it up in the truck. Say one guy wants to meet at 1, one guy wants to meet at 7. Well, fuck it, it's in the truck. You're done for the day. And also, if you got to bring it back, you just got to throw it back in the storage unit. And the storage unit's just sitting there, and it's an investment, but it's like a smart investment. And real quick, I worked at Spirit Halloween last year during COVID to get some extra money. And when I'm working at Spirit Halloween, last day, I only worked there 4 or 5 days. The lady said, hey, we got all these returns because of COVID and shit. Do you want all this stuff? Well, they don't accept it if it's open. So all this shit is closed up. I got Fortnite, Swords, Spider-Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got over $2,000 to $2,500 worth of stuff. I've sold almost all of it, and I still got some in the storage unit that I'll like keep. It's out of the way. It's not a big deal, and I can literally just throw it in an envelope or whatever and ship it out. And so that's another thing. If you see stores, even if you don't work there, even if you're not part of it, talk to stores. Get cool with managers, especially local places or Halloween places themed like that, and say, what do you do with all this shit when you throw it out, or what you gonna put in storage or what? It's so easy just to talk to somebody and get a hookup that easy. Especially like me and Casey, I'll speak for him. We both have personalities. We could talk fucking to anybody. We could sell water to a well or a whale. but the thing about it is, it's like we have the personalities where we make connections. We talk. That's why Casey and I have such a big network. We got me and Casey. We're so busy with both of our own lives that we can just pick up like that and catch up, which is great. But that's what I think you and I just connect on the same mindset, that it's like this flipping game, this side hustles, it's a way of life. It's not just a hobby. It is a way of life.
Yeah, my wife jokes, I never let a friendship die. Mm-hmm. She said, you talk to friends from elementary school, middle school, high school, college,
which is
people you used to work with.
That speaks about your character, though.
Well, and some of it is those people were with me through important parts of my life, and I want to not only hearing their voice cheers me up, also I really want to know, how are you doing? How is your family? Mm-hmm. How are things going? I'm sorry to hear about your mom. Like, those are things that are important to me. A buddy of mine was my best friend all through high school. We went to college together. He just got a promotion. I text him, hey, congrats on the new job. Really proud of you. I don't know that he cares to hear from me. Yeah. But he responded, dude, so great to hear from you. Those things just make me feel better, and I truly am happy that he got a promotion.
And see that's I'm the same way, and I think that's huge. That not only speaks about character, but it also just speaks about the person you are. I mean, I'm the type of person where, we only have one life to live. It's a short life, and it's all about making connections, relationships. But I've talked on this probably over 5 episodes now. Legacy is the most important thing to me. I don't give a fuck if I have a penny. I don't give a fuck if I got $1 billion. I give a fuck about what people think of me, what people have seen I've done and accomplished. That's why I work so hard to accomplish things, do sad things, like the Maker's Mark Ambassador Program. Got really involved with that. Just became a Lifetime Ambassador today. You and I, we talk bourbon all the time. You and I, me and you, we've talked tons of things, and it's like there's so many things you can do in life, and like you've had tons of great experiences. I've had tons of great experiences, and it's all about taking advantage of that shit. And so I think it is important to reach out to people and show you care, because the what if shit, just like we were talking about Randy Moss, that's a horrible feeling to hear. Oh, well, Joe died. Well, fuck. I was going to reach out to Joe, or shit, I just saw Joe's going through it. I had something that hit me like a couple months ago. I didn't even really know the girl. Met her maybe 5 times. I'm not even going to say her name just because I respect her family because she passed. But a girl that I went to high school with for a little bit, I never knew her, saw her maybe at 5 parties. I think she was younger than me. Just committed suicide over like a boyfriend or something. And she got buried in J-Town. And, it's... Even though I didn't know her, she's my friend on Facebook. Everybody in high school adds each other on Facebook. It made me sit there and think to myself, man, like, life's short, and that's horrible. And literally 2 days before, she's posting, I just got a new haircut. And I'm like, holy shit, things can happen that quick. So it's just like, it's the reality, too, of making sure, there's nothing goofy about it. Reaching out to people, staying in touch, I think it's important. I think people, the big thing you said is, people see it and recognize it. There might be shit. You might text somebody and say, "Hey, birthday, hope you're doing great. Hope your family's doing awesome." They might think you're the biggest piece of shit on earth, but they're sitting there like, "Damn, he just shocked me." Because deep down, a lot of times people don't realize, like, people change, people grow, people evolve, and I think that's just the biggest thing. It's about character.
Yeah, and sometimes you even just clown on somebody, and the laughter from both of you makes it. I have a friend who literally has a 10-month-old and just found out they're pregnant again, and they just had a gender reveal, and they're like, "Oh, it's a girl, we're so happy." I was like, "Oh, sorry I missed it, but I'll be at the one next summer." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Well, hell, every summer we're going to a gender reveal." Yeah. And just making fun of them. Yeah. And everybody's laughing, and it's not a jab, it's literally, hey, this is hilarious that this happened, and let's joke about it. And you know, they're like, oh, well, you know, people saying, oh, it's a mistake, but everybody's super pumped about this new kid coming.
Yeah.
So it's everybody takes things just because you say something lighthearted.
Yes.
Sometimes will make a hard thing you're going through not so hard, and it's not a terrible thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are nailing it to the point of. I think that is the biggest. I think that's the biggest thing is that it's people. People also have to realize too. A lot of times, joking is admiration, or it's like it's love, it's affection, and you know I have some of the best friends in the world that we gave each other shit all the time. If I didn't have the friends I grew up with, I'm talking. We went through so many roast sessions, jokes. I mean, going to J-Town, it was a blast because I had so many friends. Like, we played basketball. We're all roasting each other after practice game. It just was all fun and love. And it's about that laughter. And you remember that stuff. And you're like, oh, you remember that? And so I think all that stuff's important. And, again, I think the biggest word to, like, come back on it, it's character. I mean, that's what it is. And it's some people got it and some people don't. So
two more. I want to touch on two more thrift things before we
yes,
transition.
for sure.
Number one, when he was talking about earlier about a chip on something or a bend or something, the number one thing I can tell you is take good pictures and they give you 12 free pictures for a reason. Take 12 angles, take good pictures. I use, you know, people have these photo boxes and all these elaborate setups. I buy a white shower curtain liner for $6.
Mm-hmm.
It's bright white. It's got a nice surface that you can just wipe off if it gets dirty, and I literally lay that on the kitchen table and lay my items on it and take a picture. White background, really good thing to see. It costs $6 at Target.
You know what's great about that is that eBay now wants you to filter your pictures with a kind of a similar white background, but it can be blurry, it can be messed up. So you're knocking it out in just a $6 investment, which is genius.
And a lot of people ask me, how do you keep all your shit organized? I use blue Tupperware tubs. And I learned this from one of those, you know, YouTube videos. I will put stuff in a blue tub, let's say 50 items, and I have an A written on that tub. Well, in my description, there's you're describing what it is, and the very bottom corner I put tub A. It doesn't mean anything to the person who's buying it. It's not nothing, but then I know when that item sells, it's in tub A. I know when it sells, it's in tub B. And so I have 8 or 10 tubs in my garage. And as those tubs get empty, if I buy something new, I'll throw it in tub A, and in my description, I write tub A. So I know where my items are at all times. I'm not digging. There were times when I was unorganized where I would sell something and be like, shit, I just saw that the other day. And I spend 2 hours finding an item I sold for $12, $13. At that point, I've lost my profit on my time.
Exactly. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You got to be organized. I mean, I'm OCD in general, but it's all about organization. I mean, there's been times where I'll put something in a box and then I'm like, shit, is it in that box? Like, previously I had some nutcrackers that I ended up selling, Christmas nutcrackers, and you look at the box. Always check the box. Like, if the box has a design, like if the box say the design is Irish, it's an Irish nutcracker. But you look inside, and it's a Russian nutcracker. It's got a Russian flag. Just as an example, you're number one, you're wasting your price, your shipping, everything about it because you're shipping the wrong item, and then it comes in those places. Also, too, before you're quick to refund somebody, definitely that's another thing I'll talk about is like reach out to them and see if there's a way you can resolve it. See if there's a way. Hey, can I ship you another if you had another? Or hey, do you care if I just give you a partial, or hey, what's your PayPal? I'll just PayPal you your $10, even though you can't use PayPal now, but it's like, I'll Venmo you $10, whatever. There's ways to like make that work, and then you're still getting the positive feedback because they're like, this dude wanted to work with me, this shit's resolved, and you're only really doing that if it's like a minor error or a minor mistake. So I think that thrifting and flipping, you and I just gave a lot of people like a crash course. I think you and I could talk about this forever. And that's why I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this. But you and I met at Leo, and when I met you at Leo, you were sitting at this front desk. I came over, it was real nice. You guys hit it off, and you and I saw we saw tons of bullshit that we always would have fun. We go to events and different things, and you and I would talk about things. And but the one thing that has blown my mind, I haven't seen in a while, you've lost quite a bit of weight. Well, how much did you lose?
95 pounds in 14
Congratulations, man! I'm really proud of you. You're killing it, man. That's awesome. So what did you do?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It was funny. Everybody, I read an article the other day that said the average weight gain during the pandemic is like 31 pounds.
Yeah, a lot of people have gained weight.
Yeah, and my thing is, a lot of my, my daughter plays travel sports, so we're always traveling or at practice, and we're eating really late. We're eating unhealthy. We're eating drive-thrus. But when the pandemic hit and everything kind of shut down, well, my theory was if I'm going to be cooking at home, I might as well cook healthy.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like healthy foods, but you can't roll through McDonald's and get asparagus.
It's convenient. Yeah, it's all about convenience, and that's why we're always America's labeled as fat or overweight, fat, because it is. I mean,
and it's money.
It's money. It's money. It's convenience, and people too like to say, oh, well, some of these places do have healthy options. There's not enough, and half the time the healthy options are not even as healthy because they got like a fattening sauce or there's tons of bacon on or something. It's like, it's one of these cases where you're completely right. The money is the big thing. To eat healthy and to keep it right and to keep that nutrition guide going, you really got to spend money. You got to spend a penny.
And a lot of it is, I went the low carb route. I'm not going to say I'm keto, low carb. I didn't study it. I just know what you're not supposed to eat and what you are. And a lot of it would shock you, like, you're really not supposed to eat carrots. Tomatoes aren't great on low carb. I don't know why.
Wow, about carrots. That's shocking.
Yeah,
I didn't know
about
about carrots.
A lot of it is just, I love Mexican food. We go once a week. Well, I go to Mexican, I bring my own pork rinds.
Yeah.
And I eat chips and salsa and chips and queso with pork rinds, not tortilla chips. I order fajitas. I tell them I don't want the shells or the rice and beans. And I say, hey, can you put some cheese dip on top of the burning plate?
Yeah.
So now I have chicken, steak, shrimp, peppers, onions, white cheese dip on top. I eat it with a fork. It's delicious. I sometimes have to run through a drive-thru. I go to Arby's. I get the half-pound roast beef. I say, hey, stick it in a bowl. I don't want a bun. Give me a pack of horsey sauce. I eat it with a fork. It's great.
And I mean, it's ways of getting around it. I mean, I had a friend, Laura Dodge. She did keto and she's done other diets, and I know she's seen a lot of results with it. And it's all about making the sacrifices, but also making the smart ones. And like you said, you can still eat some of the things that you want. It's just like you gotta like kind of figure out the way to get around it. Do you feel like a super amount of happiness once the results were happening? Once you saw results happening?
I'll be honest with you. It's funny. Like, I didn't gain my weight like, oh, I had a really shitty year and I was depressed and I gained 50 pounds.
You were also an athlete.
Yeah. So well, not much, but I played a lot of sports in my day.
Yeah.
But mine was you gain 10 pounds a year for 20 years. So, and the more you gain, the least active you are. I did take a job where for about 5 years I drove nonstop. I had to travel all across the country by car. So that makes you, you get done at a meeting in Chattanooga, Tennessee at 4 o'clock. All you're thinking about is I can be home by 6:30, not I'm going to sit at O'Charlie's and eat a salad.
True. Very true.
So,
because you're wanting to get home.
You want to get home. So now you end up buying, you're probably buying something at a Pilot. You pull into a Pilot that has an Arby's and a McDonald's in it. And you're buying something to go because you're transitioning home.
That's why I'm like, thank God they put some Subways in these Pilots, because that's like the only healthy option you can get anymore on truck stops.
So I, you found yourself eating unhealthy and you're sitting behind the wheel of that car and it's just weight gain. I have not even began to put in much exercise. I get a lot of steps in because I can't sit still. My daughter we were at the ball field 15 hours the other day, literally 15 hours at a softball field. I bet you I sit down an hour because I see somebody I know 3 fields away. I'll walk over there and talk to them. So I myself am not even put in any type of exercise regimen. I just started eating healthier. I cut out things. Yes, I'll have a couple beers, but I'll drink Mick Ultra and then I'll transition to maybe having bourbon. The only thing I would say that's been really tough to give up, because I love it and I've tried substitutes on everything. There's a no carb bread now you can buy at Walmart.
Awesome.
It's awesome. There's a 1 carb hamburger bun. It's awesome.
Wow.
All this stuff is good. The one thing you can't find, there's no substitute for pasta.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Pasta is just shitty for you, And people do the zucchini noodles. It is what it is. But there's really no good substitute for pasta. I can live without potatoes, but I took a 2-week break during Derby because we were having people over for Derby, and everybody was bringing food, and I made sure to eat whatever I wanted, and I went and purposely ate Militani's Italian, which is, I think, the best Italian in town.
I think it's the best pizza in town. It's right there off Hurstbourne by the freeway. Replaced the old Wendy's next to the Valero. Red Carpet Inn's behind it, which is a really shitty motel. But
shout out to Free Playboy.
Yeah, Free Playboy. Yeah, that was always on the side. I remember as a kid, I'd be like, "There's the Playboy logo." But no, it's Militoni. Yeah, it is a hot spot. They just got their liquor license too, I think, before the pandemic. So just another reason to eat there. So
I made sure I ate everything I was missing during that 2-week period. But I will tell you, I really felt shitty. I know reintroducing these things into my diet, I would get lightheaded, I would get sick in my stomach, I didn't feel good. So as I transitioned back, and I've been back now, I guess 3 weeks, I feel 10 times better. I really, it is an inconvenience. Don't let me tell you, like I said, thrifting can be a nightmare. Can be a nightmare. If I'm at a ball field for 15 hours, trust me, there's not a lot of healthy options at the concession stand.
No, not at all. If you find a healthy option at a Little League or a concession stand, you're a guru. My
standard is 2 hot dogs with no bun and a little nacho cheese from the nachos. And it's not great, but sometimes you just got to find, and you got to pack well. Like, I eat tons of celery. I bring it with me. I bring those items, pork rinds. But again, you have to, it is not a diet. It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
And I have found recipes. There's this website I go to. I follow this girl on Snapchat and TikTok. Her name's Keto Mom. She's awesome. She gives you so many good recipes, so many good ideas for quick snacks. But it has really became a lifestyle for me. I don't have any sugar in my life. I don't have, some of those sparkling waters like bubbly and stuff have now come out with bubbly with caffeine in them. There's a local drink called Focus with a PH that is a sparkling water with green tea extract for caffeine. So there are healthy ways to get everything that you currently have in your life.
You just have to adjust to it, and
you got to be willing to pay for it.
Willing to pay for it, and you also got to make the change and stick with it.
And you got to have someone. If you have someone in your life, you have to have someone who's willing to support you. My wife has not been. She's not a real keto fan. She would rather do other things. But she will say, "Hey, what do you want this week?" I'm like, "Hey, I like that keto hamburger soup." She'll make it for me. Hey, I make Philly cheesesteak casserole. So you're using that steak, peppers, onions, provolone on top, bake it in the oven. She will make these recipes for me and support me in my decisions. She will go to Qdoba. Qdoba now has cauliflower mash as an option instead of rice. So it's literally mashed up cauliflower as your base, and then you still get the chicken steak, queso, salsa.
And cauliflower is being used a lot now. Cauliflower, buffalo cauliflower, you got cauliflower wing. I know some people that will they'll air fry their cauliflower, and so cauliflower has always been a very interesting vegetable because it's just like when you look at it, it's just solid white, and you're just like, you eat it, it's kind of like doesn't have much taste, but it's like you can do so much with it, and it's healthy.
I bet the cauliflower farmers are happy of all the new uses.
Oh yeah, I bet cauliflower farming has grown massively, and I think too that like if you're able to like find something that is healthy and make it taste really good, you're winning. You're doing a win-win because it's such important.
Yeah, the good thing about low carb is there are some ingredients that are naturally unhealthy in other diets and are high caloric, but you're able to use in the low carb diet, like heavy whipping cream is low carb, cream cheese is low carb. These are ingredients that will give food really rich taste. I will make a homemade keto Alfredo sauce, make chicken Alfredo, and then make a pan of broccoli, and instead of noodles, I'm using broccoli. So I promise you, broccoli with Alfredo and chicken is awesome.
Oh, broccoli in general is awesome.
Yeah,
you can do so much with broccoli as well. I know broccoli and cauliflower look exactly the same, just different color, but you can do a lot with it.
No, the dieting thing has really transitioned me. And I will tell you, back to the thrifting, big and tall clothes, if you see them, buy them, women's and men's. There are, when you live in a town like Louisville, there is a big and tall section at JCPenney. There's a big Destination XL, a big tall store. But when you live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, it is hard to find 4XL tall, 5XL, 6XL.
That's why a lot of these athletes, when they were growing up, couldn't find the shoes because they were like 6'5" in a small rural town, and you had to either order them online, and online wasn't an option, so you're driving across. And so not only has internet and online just made things so much more convenient and easier, but you're completely right. I mean, it's something that people can't find. Another thing I found very odd, I went to the Elizabethtown Goodwill and found some military camo stuff that some old soldiers there, because really close to Fort Knox, must have just thrown away, and people want that. And people like the military propaganda, the train propaganda. So it's all about like just having you gotta have an eye, which I think you and I have a natural eye, but I think you can develop an eye by just looking at what's popular, scrolling through, and take your time. Like if you get, like, that's another thing. Say you want to hit a bunch of Goodwills in a day, you got a whole Saturday off, you're with your significant other, you're by yourself, the buddy, whatever. You drive around, yeah, you might want to hit, say you want to hit 15. Say there's 15 in your town, you want to hit them all. Shit, just hit 7. And I'm going to be honest with you right there. Not only are you going to spend money, you're not only going to be able to find things, but that's going to take quite a bit of time. And you want to evaluate and browse everything, because I've had people text me and say, hey, Eric, I saw this. I know you like to flip stuff. And I'm like, well, pick that up for me. I didn't know it. Another thing, too, that's huge to finish back to thrifting. That's what I'm saying. You and I could talk this for hours. Another big thing, smart thing. If you go to a town with a professional team, I don't care if it's hockey, baseball, soccer, football, buy everything you can find. I'm talking, because you'll go to a Goodwill. I went to a Goodwill. I found 20 Nashville Predators shirts. Bought them all. $2 a pop. Because what Nashville Predators games, all these people go to Preds games. They're always throwing t-shirts out. Not everyone lives in Nashville. So when I'm down there, it's 3 hours away. I'm visiting friends. I'm like, let's go thrifting. I'll find tons of gems and end up making a pretty penny. And what's great is now I don't have to go down there and explain to my friends, like, hey, let's go thrifting, let's go do this. They know what I'm doing. They see the success of it. And they're actually now like, hey, I kind of want to be a part of this. So that's the fun thing about it too, is that not only can like you and I network off this and just shoot the shit and talk about it, you and I probably over our years have gotten other people in it, and a lot of times we didn't even fucking realize that we did.
Yeah, and the main thing, if I had to give someone one piece of advice, I know I said take good pictures, be organized. The number one piece of advice is list. We all love to shop. Mm-hmm. There's a key phrase people use in thrifting called death pile. Mm-hmm. And what that means is I've bought so much shit, thrown it in a pile, I'm going to list it eventually. And they say it will take you until you die to list it all. Mm-hmm. So give yourself a limit. Say, hey, I'm only going to buy 20 items at a time before I list those 20 items. Mm-hmm. Because when you have 150 items sitting in a room that need to be listed, it becomes overwhelming. It's
overwhelming. It's anxiety. I mean, if it wasn't for the pandemic, fuck the pandemic, but if it wasn't for it, I wouldn't have been able to list all 400 items I did on eBay. I took literally 2 days. I did it all. I'm talking, I grinded with it. But it takes a long fucking time. I mean, to list something, you're averaging almost 3.5 minutes to really list.
And we all love to shop, so we're all like, "Oh, well, I know I can sell this for $30." Well, if it sits in your bedroom for 2 hours, you just spent $6 on something that you're not selling.
Yeah, you're not. You're losing money out. You're losing out on the time and effort, and also too, it's like you're gonna forget about it. The thing about it too is that when you're going out to buy these things, it kind of piggybacks off what we had said earlier. Don't just buy to buy. And when you're buying stuff, buy things that you know you can flip. But also, too, it's worth sometimes taking a shot. If you see something, and if you see things duplicate, always pick it up. Because you can always do a quantity list. That's another great thing on eBay. You can do a quantity list where people might want to buy all 2 items. They might want to buy 5. You might be able to list 15. So it's just, it's different things like that. But you got to remember, too, that it's all about the hunt. I mean, you really got to hunt. You really got to deep dive, and you really got to dig in and find, because if If not, you're not only gonna feel anxiety from like buying a bunch of shit, not listening. You'll feel anxiety in the store. Like, what am I looking for? What am I doing? I heard Eric and Casey do this. It's about time. It's about effort, and you're gonna fail, but you'll learn. And it's all about developing your own brand and business with it. Because
the best thing I can tell you is, in the beginning, I've told everyone that's asked me how do I get started, sell your shit out of your house.
Yeah, sell your shit out of your house. Be reliable. Sell things that you know are worth money and get rid of that stuff, and you'll build a reputation, you'll build feedback, and then start thrifting.
And use that money. Don't take money out of your checking account. Sell that old derby glass that's 10 years old that you haven't drank out of in 9 years. Sell the dress you wore to a bridesmaid's dress from 10 years ago that you haven't worn since. Sell those random items that are just taking up space in your house. As you sell that, keep that money aside. Maybe build up $200. Take that $200, go buy more stuff to sell. Then you've built yourself a business on $0.
Yeah, genius. I mean, you're completely right, because it's about using what you're selling to keep building your business. I mean, it's almost one of these things too, where if that's another thing too. If you want to get into this and it's just because you need to make quick money or you need cash, it might not be the business for you. I know it's probably the easiest way to make money, but when I say that is, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes running to the post office, waiting in line, printing the labels. This shit isn't a game. This isn't some middle of the mall shit or easy thing. This is, you gotta like give effort to make money. And you gotta have, another thing though, yeah, you don't want to buy 150 things, have them not listed, and you're just sitting on them like, what do I do? But have quantity listed, have inventory, have things that people want to buy, because people will take your brand, like Mr. E loves to sell and buy, or they'll take my Facebook and they'll start following it. You get on Facebook, they give you like a comments profile or a marketplace profile. You get your ratings, your feedback. eBay does the same thing. You can put a logo, you can do whatever, but it's just all about having inventory, doing it right, putting the effort into it, but being smart at the same time.
Yeah, like I haven't even talked about to you. I don't even know if you know. I have we'll kind of end on. I have a side hustle where I started last August, so almost a year now, where I bought a an entire semi-load.
Oh shit!
Of floor model mattresses, and mattresses that were discontinued, or mattresses that were seconds, where the stitching went off, and things like that. I had them delivered to me, a semi-load, 6 storage units full in Fern Creek, and I took my inventory list, took pictures of all of them, and started selling them on Facebook Marketplace. As of, I've already bought my second semi-load. As of now, I think I've sold over 400 mattresses.
You're the king mattress man.
And every day I get a text or a message from someone that says, hey, my buddy bought a mattress from you. Do you have anything available right now? And I'm sending out a list of what I have available. And, I'm averaging $100 to $200 profit per mattress. And I've sold over 400 of them. That's $40,000. Now, yes, I pay $800 a month in storage unit fees. But you do the math over a year, that's only $9,000.
Yeah.
And I've made, 30, 40 grand profit. And it's not easy. Someone wants a certain mattress. It's in the back of a 30-foot storage unit in the bottom. I have to move 10 mattresses to get to the one they want. But also the next guy may want the one on top. Mm-hmm. I had a guy who had an Airbnb that bought 9 from me. I made $1,000 that day.
Yeah.
So there are lots. I follow a Facebook page called Side Hustle Nation. That's where I got the mattress gig from. A guy on there was doing it in North Carolina.
Genius.
I reached out to him.
Genius.
He said, yeah, here's where I buy them. He's like, if you're in Louisville, you're not going to hurt my business. So I started buying a semi-load of them. Now, since I bought from them, they will give me the semi-load on credit, and I just have to pay them within a certain amount of days. So now I'm paying them as I sell them. I say, hey, this week I sold 9 off that load. I owe you $2,100. I will PayPal them for the 9 I sold. I'm keeping an inventory list of what they sent me, and I pay them as I sell them to make sure I don't get behind and owe them money for stuff I don't have. Whoa. But I will tell you,
that's genius.
If you get on Side Hustle Nation and you really want to do things like your notary business, there are people out there who become mobile loan closers. Where now,
you told me about that.
Now they're going around literally with a wireless printer and and an iPad, and they're closing mortgages out of the back of their car. and all you have to be is a notary, and they're making $200-300 a pop.
Yeah, and that's what I just got my notary renewed yesterday. I like to brag. I'm the best notary in Kentucky. I'll do it all for you. I'll come to you. You can come to me. I charge usually $20 a pop. I've been charging $30 now, but if I know you, if you're a friend, I'll give that family discount, that $20. But overall, I make about $20-30 a pop. I'll even sometimes, if I'm in a good mood, I'll just charge $20. But give them that stamp, notarize it. It's so quick and easy. Being a notary has been one of the best things I've ever done. I've made so much money off it, and you've given me advice on you. You know, there's been other people that told me. I had a lady on LinkedIn reach out saying some lawyer firm in Indiana wanted to try to hire me to be a notary. The job would have been way too far to drive every day, over an hour. But overall, it was cool just to see there was that interest because I was listed as a notary. So the main thing with that is I'm really big on like pushing that. But back to what you're saying, it's just like side hustle is the way to go. I mean, you're hearing it here first from both of us. Another thing that's great, and I'll try to end on this one, NBA Top Shop. Big thing right now are these digital replays. People love collecting and buying these card packs of replays. So you could buy a card pack and literally have a replay of LeBron James dunking in a game, and there might only be 15 of these replays made. You get $100,000 for it. Then there might be a basically you could get like a Trae Young. It might be one of a million. There might be a million, so it's very common. Still get $15-20 from it because somebody wants it. So what it is you buy these packs for $9.99, and then you get 3 replays, and then if you get a rare one, you could ship it on their marketplace or sell it, and you can make anywhere from $20,000 to $500,000. And so it's just all people buying replays. People will buy anything these days. That's why I'm saying buy the brand things, be open-minded, just realize people will buy. Casey, I want to thank you tremendously for doing this podcast. I know there's been some scheduling this week. We've both been really busy. I had the tooth surgery. I can't believe I even went through this whole fucking podcast.
I can't believe you're alive after that tooth.
Oh, that tooth is insane. Guys, if you're a friend on Facebook of me, Eric Clark, check it out. That tooth is gnarly. I've kept it, actually.
If you want to keep your dinner down, don't look at it.
Yeah, don't look at it if you want to have dinner. Yes, it's a while. Basically, it was half in my gum, half my cheek. It grew, but shout out to my dentist. He killed it. He got it out, and he's always been great. So really thankful for that. But overall, I want to thank Casey. We talked about flipping. We talked about weight loss. But the main thing is, I hope that when you take from this episode, maybe you go out and make $1. Go grind. Go hustle. But also just have fun with it. That's the main thing. Have fun. Make some money. Be safe. That's the biggest thing. Be safe. And work and associate with people that are legit and have character and that you can trust to buy and sell. But Casey, I think that this was a super interesting episode. You brought up great points. I really appreciate you sharing your weight loss story. It's been great to see you. Great catching up again. So everybody, I want you, before we sign off, for you to plug. How can anybody reach you on your eBay? You got an eBay username or?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's called Derby City Consignment.
Okay.
And then if you search on Facebook, it's under CJ Jones on Marketplace. Right now I have over 100 mattresses in inventory. So
great.
All sizes, and I usually sell. Just to give someone an example, today I sold a purple 4 king mattress. Retails on the website for $4,400. I sold it for $2,000.
Oh my!
But gosh. I also sell like a popular brand is called Nectar.
Mm-hmm.
A Nectar Queen retails for about $800, and I sell them for $3. So I have huge savings. Just look me up on Facebook.
Look it up.
Just type in the word Nectar mattress. You'll see my listing. Then on Facebook Marketplace, if you've dealt with someone in the past and you like them, you can click on their selling profile and hit view their listings, and it shows you everything they have listed.
And follow, give feedback. That's the biggest thing. If you buy or sell, always give feedback and make sure it's positive. If it was positive, it's fucked up, it's a different story. But if it's a positive experience, give that feedback, because it not only helps you, it helps the seller. It just helps everybody in general. I'm always giving feedback no matter what, because I want to help them out. Hopefully they'll help me back out, and that's what builds your reputation and builds your profile. But again, Mr. E Loves to Sell and Buy is my eBay. You can also find me on Facebook, Eric Clark. email vibingwithsleazy@gmail.com for fan mail or show any love. Instagram, Vibing with Sleazy the podcast. Facebook, Vibing with Sleazy the podcast. Again, almost worldwide. Just need a couple more continents. Really appreciate everyone listening. Really excited for this episode. Got a great episode coming up here. Got my boy Brandon and Tremaine coming on. Go way back with them, so we'll be talking some hoops. But yeah, overall, again, thank you so much. This is Vibing with Sleazy the podcast, and we are out. Peace.